an epiphany. We were talking about chicken nuggets, and it just struck me. The free market is awesome. The invisible hand of the free market is awesome. We have so many people right now, and you see this all day long. All these kids are like, yeah, we want free stuff with Marxism. Yes, communism's great. Capitalism, boo. Well, here's where I'm going to show you how these kids are getting suckered into something that they just don't get. Yeah, Marxism offers you a lot of free things, free buses, free rent. We'll forgive this, we'll forgive that. We'll have cheap grocery stores. But what happens when something happens in real life to that Zoran Mamdani grocery store, like people stop buying a certain item? So here's a real world situation that it dawned on me as we were covering the story. So for a while, I've been talking about the price of fast food. I said, I went to Taco Bell, 2 meals. It was like $25. I'm like, what? I said, this is crazy. I've been talking about this for 6 months. We used to go to fast food for quick, easy value. It was easy to feed your family at a cheap price. It was easier than going to an expensive restaurant, easier than mom cooking when the kids are running around. Remember McDonald's used to have that commercial? You deserve a break today at McDonald's. Give mom a break. Go to McDonald's. Get good, clean food, cheap. Everybody's happy. But it was at a value. Then all of a sudden, the prices went up and the quality started going down. Now, why did the prices start going up? Well, when you want to have a living wage and you're paying fast food workers $20 an hour, the margins are so small, the prices are going to get forced up. So right now we see the prices went up, the profits went down, the quality went down. And how did the market respond? Well, families said, wait a minute, why am I going to a fast food restaurant and the three of us are paying $65? There's no value to that. So they stopped going. And you see fast food restaurants all see their numbers decline because that value proposition wasn't there. So what happens? The free market reacts, and fast food is now doing something about it to try to bring people back. They can't lower the prices because of the input of labor. So they're now going to try to fix the value proposition by listening to us and saying, all right, let me give you better quality food so I can convince you that there's still a value of coming back. That is the free market, as opposed to what you would get in central planning, which is the tenet of Marxism. It's Marxism's all about the collective that Zoran Mamdani wants to embrace. Now, I could explain it to you, but it would be better if it came from my mentor, Dr. Richard Bilas, professor of economics, the smartest man I know, one of the biggest influences of my life, and the joy that I get from bringing him on. I feel like I'm back in Econ 101, and he's on the program with us right now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Richard. So you just, I think you explained the issue very, very well.
Well, only because you showed me all of this in class. So I get all these people that are talking about, Marxism, capitalism, no good, capitalism, no good. There's a real world example of what happens under capitalism, the free market, as opposed to what would happen in Russia if all of a sudden people said, I don't like the chicken nuggets.
This is kind of an interesting situation because we hear all the time that, my goodness, I can't go to McDonald's anymore. It's too darned expensive. And one of the problems is that if McDonald's or the other fast food places, and I shouldn't just cite McDonald's, that's not fair. How do you increase the number of people that you get to come to your place? You've got to do it by lowering price. And how do you lower price with all of the costs that face them going up? And you mentioned wages now being required by governments to be such and such. You have to decrease the quality of the food. And the problem with that is when the quality of the food decreases, which you would get under your Marxist ideas and comments, people say, hey, I'm not going to buy this stuff because I don't like the price and I don't like the quality, so I'll go someplace else. The question is there someplace else to go? Because what we're seeing, I think, in a number of areas, fast food producers talk to each other. A talks to B, B talks to C, and so forth. And oftentimes, even though we call it free markets, they work together and they make mistakes. And I think mistakes are being made, but if you look around, there are exceptions. Not all fast food places are losing business because of rising costs. Some of them are keeping up by keeping quality up. And I have to cite this, even though some people disagree with it. What is it that the Secretary of Health and Human Resources has been arguing for? Make America healthy again.
Right.
And a number of these places are trying to make follow that concept. Offer things to people that are healthy, and that doesn't mean, for example, taking a regular hamburger and cutting it in half so that it's only half as bad as it was before. It means offering people really quality foods that are healthy.
Changing
and
that
so
value
what we're seeing, I
proposition.
think, is a little bit of a change in the fast food industry.
Well, you look at Steak and Shake. You live down in Florida. Steak and Shake were one of the first to say, let me embrace this. I'm going to get rid of the cooking oil. We'll use tallow. It was something that RFK Jr. was talking about. You look at, we were talking off air yesterday, Panda Express. They didn't shrink their portions and they didn't skimp on the quality. They haven't been hit the way that some others have. And the others now, and it's a market trend, will go look at what they're doing and follow the leader.
That's exactly right. And as a matter of fact, you mentioned Panda Express, but there's another one, and that's Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
They have been offering for quite some time alternative meals that are, quote, healthy, unquote.
You look at In-N-Out Burger. I know we don't have them in Virginia. They're in Tennessee, so hopefully they're coming over here. I know you don't have them in Florida, but you remember In-N-Out Burger. They talked about quality, quality, quality. They paid their people a little bit more. You got a better quality meal there. They actually have not raised their prices. They're just doing a better job, and they're making it up in volume. And every time I've gone into an In-N-Out Burger, there's 10 people deep waiting to order a hamburger. There's a McDonald's or a Burger King or something else across the street, and it's a ghost town.
Yeah, I think, and that's a good point, Richard. And we were out some time ago to a fast food place. I won't mention it. And I wanted to go because I like their hamburger. And my wife and I and our daughter, with whom we live, took us there. And I noticed that the quality had gone down. But I think in that case, the quality went down because they now were hiring new employees at the lowest possible wage and teaching them how to prepare food. And the customers were the ones who were being used with this new change in people working behind the counter.
So that's where I need your help, Professor. I can I was a good enough student of yours. I was a fair student, but I understood all this. But here's the one point I need help explaining to our audience. Part of this is because I talked about the free market. I think people understand supply, demand, free market. But the reason why you have this upheaval right now is not the free market. It's a central planner. It's someone who said,
that's exactly right.
I'm going to raise the prices. So explain how that government intervention, free market versus the free market, something a Marxist would do, arbitrarily set something through central planning, has upended all of this.
Well, you're seeing it in New York City. We've seen it in Russia. We've seen it in. We're seeing it. We see it all over the world. Once government gets in, it decides it's going to do this, and we've talked about this before, Richard, and it's kind of hard to explain to people. There is no such thing as a free lunch, and when we're promised goods at low prices, the question is who pays for them, and it winds up being, as Margaret Thatcher once said, socialism is wonderful until you run out of other people's money. You don't get free goods.
No.
And that's the problem. And you make these promises and people say, gee, that's wonderful. I want free schooling. I want free books. I want free lunch. I want this, that, and the other thing. Of course you want that, but you're not going to get it because resources are scarce. Land, labor, capital, and management are scarce. And so they have to have a price. They've got to be paid for in some way or another.
You know what? That's why I needed you today, Dr. Bilas. Dr. Richard Bilas, my mentor, joining us here on News Radio WRVA. I failed to bring that part up, and I think that's something everybody needs to remember. There is scarcity. There is scarcity of everything. There's scarcity of air, water. There's scarcity of everything. So if you look at this, there's scarcity of capital out there. So if I have an artificial rise in labor costs, somebody has to eat that. There's just not money back there. I look at Zoran Mamdani. He wants to have his city-owned grocery stores. Well, he's going to offer 30% cheaper food because he's not going to pay the same taxes that a private grocery store will. So that's how he'll pass that along. It's scarce. And who eats it? The people of New York that are going to be out without 30% taxes on those grocery stores. So Zoran Mamdani can use that money to give breaks to people that come into his grocery stores artificially.
You've stated the situation precisely.
If I could have paid attention in class, do you know what kind of grades I would have gotten?
Well, you know what happens, Richard, is people don't understand initially, but over time they do. And that's why we've seen strictly socialist societies either falling apart or backing off a bit because they begin to recognize that this free good stuff doesn't really exist. You've got several countries that are socialist, but are beginning to realize that they can't do what they have promised to do because of scarcity of land, labor, capital, and management. And one of them
write that down: land, labor, capital, and management. Land, labor, capital, and management. See, I should have taken better notes in class.
Those are the four resources: land, labor, capital, and management. Land, all the resources therein. Labor, we know what that is. Capital, what you need to put forward to build something. And management, they're all scarce. And even when government takes it over, they're all scarce. You don't get rid of the scarcity.
I'm writing that down. I'm putting this right here in my notes. Dr. Bilas, as always, I love you so much. I really do. And I appreciate you reteaching me these things that I should have paid more attention to in class, but I'm glad we're able to do this on the radio.
Well, you've done well, Richard, and I appreciate your talking to me on occasion. It's very interesting, and continue to do good work. I know you are. God bless you and take care.
I love you, sir. I'll talk to you soon. Dr. Richard Bilas explaining land, labor, capital management. Why didn't I remember that in class? Should have wrote it in my hand or something. Our guest here on News Radio WRVA. You want to listen. Those of you that I know, I got a lot of left-wing people that listen to the program. You tell me. You poke a hole in that one right there. You tell me where I missed something. 833-804-1140. Those of you that have been wondering, how are all these people being conned into thinking that Marxism is great? What do you think of what Dr. Bilas said? 833-804-1140. Number for you to join us. Today's program is brought to you in part by our friends at loanpronto.com. So, what do you say? Scarcity.